Spoštovane dame in gospodje, lepo pozdravljeni na letošnjem mednarodnem B2B dogodku in tematskih predavanjih v okviru sejma AGRA. Pozdravljam vas v imenu organizatorjev, to je Regionalne razvojne agencije Podravje Maribor, sejmišča Pomurski sejem, Ministrstva za zunanje zadeve in pa seveda vseh partnerjev Evropske podjetniške mreže, z katerimi sodelujemo tako v Sloveniji kot v tujini. To je bilo vse za začetek v slovenščini, so now I will continue in English. Dear ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 2022 thematic lectures and the B2B event at the Gornja Radgona AGRA fair. I would like to say that the organizers of the event are the Regional Development Agency Podravje Maribor. It is the Ministry of External Affairs. It is the partners from the Enterprise Europe Network in Slovenia, as well as on the European level. And it is, of course, the Pomurje Fair, Pomurski sejem, as one of the main organizers. Today we have prepared 3 main topics. We would like to introduce it to you. It is the topics how to do the business with Japan, doing business with India, and of course one of quite interesting markets, it is the Africa and the African countries. So we will have 6 speakers. I will apologize a little bit because not everybody is present already due to the traffic accident on the way from Ljubljana to the Maribor, but I hope we will be successful in following the time schedule with a little delay. Yes, for the first beginning, the ministry is the co-organizers, and in this case I would like to invite Mrs. Alma Židanek, who is authorized minister, Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the Republic of Slovenia. She will briefly outline the importance of location of economic diplomacy or networks of economic advisors of Slovenia at the embassies abroad. Please, Mrs. Židanek, the floor is yours.
Dear organizers, dear business representatives, dear esteemed representatives of embassy and other guests, I am pleased to address you in the name of Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Directorate for Economic and Public Diplomacy at today's business event at the 60th Traditional International Fair of Agriculture and Food here in Gornja Radgona. The focus of today's event is doing business with Japan, the guest of honor of AGRA, India and Africa. I'm here to present our activities helping Slovenian companies to go international. Almost everything in Slovenia is international, deriving from its location and the fact that Slovenia is a distinctly export-oriented country, generated 85% of GDP with exports. Every 4th employee depends on exports. Slovenian export to some nearby countries such as Croatia, Italy, Austria, Germany, Switzerland and France accounts 60% of total exports. The Eastern European and Asian region is also an important market for the Slovenian business and entities, which confirms the openness of traditional orientation of the Slovenian economy. I believe that the role and assistance of economic diplomacy is particularly important in this regard. Slovenia cooperates with and will certainly do business in the future mainly with the markets within 500 kilometers. This is fact. However, we need to take advantage of business opportunities in other parts of the world like Asia and Africa. At a time when the daily struggle and competitive international markets has become even tougher, it is even more important that our export companies anticipate the upcoming challenges prepared to the highest level possible. Ministry of Foreign Affairs is a part of the supportive environment of Slovenian business, and the main task of our economic diplomacy is to protect and to promote the interests of the Slovenian businesses abroad through a network of Slovenia diplomatic missions with economic counselors. Their main task is to help Slovenian companies abroad. A worldwide network of Slovenia's honorary consuls, whose main role is to represent Slovenia's economic interests, complements these efforts. One of them, Mr. Sar, the Honorary Council of the Republic of Slovenia in Senegal, will present his ideas to increase economic cooperation between Slovenia and Senegal. Let me tell you more about what economic advisors are doing for business people in abroad. They are doing following services: assistance in establishing contacts with ministries and other state institutions, organization of business meetings, presentations, seminars, conferences, information of business opportunities, international tenders, industries and fairs, collecting and forwarding business information and promoting business opportunities, advisory support to companies in entering a certain market, and assistance in establishing contacts with potential business partners. They cannot conclude contracts with companies abroad. They are not representatives of the companies, translators or accountants of companies, and they don't do detailed analysis for individual companies, but they help companies to achieve their plans in a way I listed before. Directorate for Economic and Public Diplomacy within Ministry of Foreign Affairs also organizes business delegations accompanying minister or prime minister during their official visits abroad. Such events take place in smaller but target-focused formats. Embassies help us also to organize the meetings at the institutions and B2B networking for business persons. Numerous positive reactions from the business show that the companies have recognized the effort of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and our directorate, as well as the entire embassy's network. We want to be dynamic and proactive service to Slovenian companies. Despite limitations of personnel and finance, we need to adapt our services as much as possible and be as innovative as possible. Therefore, we intend to expand not only range of services, but we also work on plans to open new diplomatic and consular missions, especially where we see business opportunities, also in distant markets of Africa and Asia, and expand number of economic advisors too. I hope that this business event will help business people to get more information about the 3 distant regions and maybe persuade someone to start business here. Allow me to conclude by thanking the organizers for their good cooperation in preparation of this event, and I hope that at the end, at least the majority of the participants will say, yes, this event was very useful. I have got many interesting information. I would like to take further steps. We, I mean Ministry of Foreign Affairs, our directorate, economic advisors at embassies, honorary consuls abroad, are here to help and support you. Thank you for your attention, and I wish you all the effective networking and lots of success at businesses abroad. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Židanek. We would agree it's a number of about 150 participants we have on the B2B events during all 3 days, and I think everything that counts is at the end the number of the contacts we will establish, and then we could see after 2 or maybe 3 months what will be the results and whom we can especially help in opening new markets. I think this is the most important. So we will now go quite far away, and we will start with the market of Japan, opening the market of Japan. We have 2 speakers here. We will start it with Mrs. Yukiko Funo, who is Economic Affairs Officer at the Embassy of the Republic of Slovenia in Tokyo. She's not present here, she is online. We can see you now at the moment, so I hope your presentation will be working. You will do the presentation yourself. And yes. Please, Mrs. Funo, the floor is yours. We can start.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me? I hope you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you very well.
Okay, let me start with my presentation here. Okay. Now, first of all, I want to thank you for giving me this opportunity for my presentation, How to Business with Japan. And the First thing I want to insist to point out the importance of strong business relationship with Japan. As you might know, the relationship between EU and Japan is getting stronger under the current international situations, as EU and Japan share same values. Now, thanks to the EU-Japan EPA, this economic partnership agreement, which was started in force since 2019, 3 years ago, the business is blooming even more. So I'd like you to know that all of you EU companies can enjoy the benefit of this EPA by issuing a statement on origin. EU exporters can receive better access to the Japanese market and removal of some trade obstacles and preferential duty tariffs. And now this EPA is the very important tool we have now. So all the more information about this EPA, all the regulations and how to the tariff rates, you can see this platform, which is the EU-Japan Center for Industrial Cooperation, and European Commission. They have access to markets website, and you can access there and see which kind of support you can have. And this EU Business in Japan, outside EU Business in Japan, they have also the help desk, and they also issue the handbook, very useful, and you can download from the website. This is, I think it's very interesting for you. And now, I would like to mention reasons why you should choose Japan as a business partner. And you already know all these information. Japan is the world's third largest economy and has the 5th rank in the market competitiveness in the world. And in Japan, there are more than 3 million small, medium enterprises. So 3 million companies are waiting there for you for the opportunities. And Japan is also, by the World Bank Group, it's a 29th rank for the Ease of Doing Business Index. So I think Japan is quite easy to enter the market. And of course, it's a low-risk destination for doing business compared with most other countries in Asia. The rule of law is well established and contracts are easily enforceable. And corruption is minimal in Japan, resulting in the world ranking of 18th out of 168 countries. And of course, the politically stable and stringent corporate governance is and the low valuations. I think this is an excellent time to invest in the Japanese market. And of course, we have to think about some risks. The most problematic for the foreign companies, the communication, the language problem. Unfortunately, Japanese, we all study English, but the English, the 10%, they say the 10% of Japanese speaks only Japanese. And so it's important to be localized in Japanese language. And also there are some cultural barriers and natural disasters we often do have. Then Japan has, it's a big economic power, you already know. So it's also could be the gateway to the other Asian markets. So I think it's a very interesting market for you. And I just want to mention about the key points for their business with Japan. There are 5 keywords I want to emphasize. The first one is the localizing the product. As I said, the Japanese language is very important. So the Japanese customers can be very demanding and often have quite different tastes and needs than European customers. Therefore, in many cases, European companies must redesign or redevelop their products in order to succeed with Japanese customers. And the second one, cultural barriers in terms of communication. The most important cultural barriers to market entry in Japan could be the high level of collectivism, power distance, uncertainty avoidance, and all these stuff they have. And the third one is the dealing with lots of competition. As I said, 3 million companies are here in Japan, so many competitions could be. But if you have the very high quality and niche, very special products to present, it's very interesting for Japanese market. And of course, there is tackling government regulations. You have to see it's not EU country, so different rules you have to adopt. And then the marketing is very important in Japan. First and foremost, Japanese consumers prioritize brand trust and reputation, quality, and value over price. So taking this into account as you build your Japanese marketing strategy is the key. Many European brands have already seen great success marketing in Japan by adapting to what appeals most to Japanese customers. And yes, this is and Japan is a more relationship-oriented culture, so it's very important to know and trust someone before they do business with them. So it's better to meet the customer or the partner face to face. And then now, let me introduce you several platforms, business platforms offer from Japanese side for foreign companies. The first one is the JETRO. You already heard of the name. It's a government-related organization under Ministry of Economy in Japan. JETRO, they have many kinds of support system. They support how to establish business in Japan, and they have this Invest Japan hotline consultation program. And I want to introduce this new. They just opened this e-venue platform. It's since January this year, and you can register your company here, and your company and view business proposals free of charge. It's very free of charge, and you can also upload your business proposals on the site with pictures, and so detailed user guide can be found on this JETRO website. It's very useful. And JETRO has 15 offices in Europe, and the nearest office from Slovenia is located in Vienna, Austria. You can see on the website. It's a very useful organization. And another one I want to introduce is the JGoodTech platform. It is operated by SME Support Japan, and it's also governmental organization, also under the Ministry of Economy in Japan. And the 3.5 million companies account for 99% of the total number of companies in Japan, and they are essentially sustaining Japan's economy. So SME Support Japan is strengthening the international business matching operation. And with this JGoodTech service, you can promote your company and search of companies with the technology you're looking for, and you can request solution or collaboration of a project, certain project, or you can submit topics of interest to exchange ideas and information. It's maybe more to the technology oriented, but a very good, useful platform. And you can be the member. I think this JGood Tech platform, you have to apply and get clearance you need. But once you are the members, you can have a very good support. It's free of charge. And another platform I want to introduce is MIPRO, Manufactured Imports and Investment Promotion Organization. And this, you may find interesting materials in their website and download from their website in English. And they distribute information and manufactured imports. They usually collect, analyze, and publish all the reports. And they provide consulting service for trade investment in Japan. So for foreign companies who wants to set up in business in Japan, they have a free of charge consulting service. And their publication materials are very useful, and they sometimes open the seminars for foreign companies, how to start up their business in Japan. And some few Chamber of Commerce business organization to check. There are, each city has their Chamber of Commerce in the industry. And in the Tokyo and Osaka, it's the biggest Chamber of Commerce in Japan. Tokyo has more than 82,000 companies members, and Osaka has also 30,000 members. And they can check out you can refer to the companies you're looking for. And the interesting site I would like to introduce is the Tokyo Metropolitan Government operating. It's a Tokyo Metropolitan Small Medium Enterprise Support Center. And if you're looking for companies based in Tokyo, it's a very useful platform center, in particularly the small, medium-sized companies. And they have support center, and then you can get the assistance from the Tokyo local government. And these are the support platform I introduced. And for those of you who wants to sell your products in Japan in the fastest way, there's the option with the e-commerce, of course, and how to start selling your consumer product in Japan. There are 3 ways. And the first one, you must have this your own website and you sell. But as I already said, English literacy is below 10% in Japan, so you need to localize your website. And the second possibility is you just sell via e-commerce marketplaces. Rakuten is the, very famous marketplace, and Amazon and Yahoo Japan, they have a big shopping site. It's a useful site. And the third one, most probably is the very traditional way, but you must find a distributor partnership and third-party agencies. It's the way. And another possibility, this is not the business, but it's I'd like to introduce also this is an interesting platform which our Embassy of Slovenia in Japan is also a member, a part of this program. It's called the Field of Knowledge Integration and Innovation, FKII. we call, and operated by Council of Industry, Academia, Government collaboration under Ministry of Agriculture, Forestry and Fishery of Japan. It's an open innovation platform, free of charge to be a member, where you can search collaborator of your research. So if you are the researchers or university institute, also the companies can be a member. And please look up at their website. There are currently they have the research development platform. It's about 170 platforms are active, and 5 themes, big themes: smartization, healthy food, sustainability, export promotion, and biotechnology. All these themes, they have specific research strategies. And then under the platform, there are some research consortium projects, concrete projects with the university or researchers or institutions. They just meet at this platform, they introduce each other, and then they just make up their research project. This is also the interesting info and platform you can participate. And then lastly, the future opportunity I want to introduce for the winemakers. There's opportunity to introduce your wine in Japan market through Japan Wine Challenge. It's wine competition. Just they are receiving the application these days, and entry deadline is October 7th this year. It's very interesting competition. I think the Japanese buyers are participating and searching for new wines. So if you are selling the wines, it's an opportunity to introduce Slovenian wines. And then the next year, there is a big Foodex Japan. It's one of the largest international exhibitions in Asia, and about more than 100 countries are participating. So it's also not only in Japan, but other Asian countries, buyers are there. And if there are any Slovenian food beverage companies who wants to participate, we could organize one nice Slovenian pavilion, I think, and it's we have to discuss still. But the entry cost is not cheap. But if many companies participate, we could share the cost and have a big promotion with Slovenian quality food and beverages. Any inquiries are welcome. And the last part, it's in the future one in 2025. Just for your information, after Dubai Expo this year, the next one is coming to Osaka in 2025. As Slovenia has already announced participation, I would like to welcome many Slovenian people to participate and see you there. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Funo. A lot of information. Of course, we will share your presentation with all the participants here and participants that will be seeing the virtual presentations. And yeah, we hope to establish new contacts. Thank you very much once again.
Thank you.
The second person we have invited is the one that has over 30 years of experience in being in Japan, in working, doing business in Japan. This is Mr. Miran Skender, who is actually also now at the function of Economic Affairs Officer at, Secretary General of the Slovenian Japanese Business Council at the moment. And yeah, please, if you can share a little bit of your experience, very pragmatical information you have doing business in Japan. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me. All guests, dear friends here. So, Funo-san already gave you all these details you need to know something about Japan and contact points and so. I will try to share my personal experience with Japan since I am in Japan, I will sit down. I'm in Japan from 1990, 32 years. So I'm saying I'm in Japan, I'm now here. Of course, I'm already retired, but still, you know, my everyday life is still in very close contact with Japan. And 32 years I am living out of Japan. So only 4 years I was ambassador to Tokyo, I was governmental officer, but all other years I need to find sources for my survival. So means I have some experiences about Japan. So here is the initial title, you know, Japan is opportunity, definitely, I am proof, you know. But only for the innovative, persistent, and long-term oriented people, you know. Story Japan-Slovenia is a unique story since we have history only 30 years. We have established diplomatic relations in 1992, 30 years ago, and this was a kind of point zero also for economic relations. So, but as you will see, we did something in these 30 years. So this is our trade statistic with Japan. Figures are not so high, comparable with the developed economies, with the large economies. But still we have some surplus in doing business, in exporting to Japan. Means it's not so bad. And since we have started from zero, today we have quite good figures. But my point is, this is just a part of story, economic story, Japan-Slovenia. The major part of our relations you cannot see here from the statistics. So this is a few lines about me. I am in Japan 32 years. In 32 years, I participated all projects, practically all projects between two countries. And from the first exhibition to the economy in '96, which was also organized at JETRO, like my predecessor said, she said. And then I think economic collaboration with Japan is our story of success. We were really did it something in 30 years, but I think this is just good foundations. I think the future generation has now really opportunity to do something more. So I will give you some examples what we did it, you know, and what are our foundations. So the most attractive example is robotics. We are now, this is really, now we are getting important European robot maker, and very important location for Japanese makers, especially Yaskawa. And this is example how you can do such project. Now this project is, it was happened because of Mr. Dr. Hubert Kozler. He is the head of Yaskawa in Slovenia. He was working 30 years very hard to convince, you know, a robot maker from Japan to come to Slovenia, establish factory in Kočevje, and lay foundations for the expansion which is on the horizon. And I was working on this project from 2008. So means it was from 2008 to 2018 where the foundations were laid for new factory in Kočevje. It was 10 years needed. What I'm saying, you know, without long-term orientation, without hard working and clear vision, no success in Japan. So next example is even more interesting, you know. Energy, corporation of energy. Maybe this is quite unknown things also for Slovenian public, but we have number of references with Japan on the field of energy. First is we are only a Japanese reference for adjustable speed pump storage power plant in Europe. I hope you know what is the pump storage power plant. You are pumping up when you have spare energy, and then you are generating power when you need it. means how to store energy. This is the point. Storing energy, this is now the most important thing. We know that we can produce a lot of energy from sun, but how to store it? And this is the pump storage power plant is one of the oldest way how to store. Battery is now very much expanding, but battery, we don't have such battery yet, which is comparable. You cannot store 100 megawatt or 200 or 1000 megawatt. Battery is 5 megawatts, 10 megawatts. Means it will take time. So we had really vision, 20 years ago when we have started with this pump storage power project in River Socha, and this is now in operation for 10 years, and it is a really great reference for the times are coming, because the storage of energy is now, which is most actual story for those one who is planning energy investment. So Mitsubishi also refurbished our steam turbine in our nuclear power plant, but the major project between Japan and Slovenia on the field of energy was demonstration project financed by the Japanese Development Energy Agency, NEDO, in the system of, in the management of smart community. This project was lasting 6 years. Completing this will be end of, it's already technically end. And this is really, if country get a chance to do such demanding demonstration project between two countries like we are doing, we did it. This is really such great reference for the next projects. Reference is one of the most important thing. Japanese saying case. Good case is attracting investors. All other things are not important, but case and reference. And this is why this NEDO project, which is value is not so big, it's maybe 50 million euro, but importance, and because this is pure technology developed by Slovenian side together with the Japanese experts. So next one. So then I will, since time is limited, I will give you some more examples of stories which we did it. So Port Copper, everybody knows. Japan is important for Port Copper. Port Copper is important for Japan. Port Copper has a really good future in collaboration with Japan. Company LIT Transit, it's not unknown, but this is company, Slovenian company, which is working closely with the Japanese giant NEC. They have number of references, and the product is management of public transportation, how to optimize public transportation. And the major project which I will mention here is just they are responsible for logistic at the soccer World Championship in Kuwait, no, Qatar. Means such great project is doing Slovenian company here, located near Ljubljana, together with Japanese NEC. So then Slovenian Post here, it's very close to Japanese Toshiba. Toshiba is completely modernizing, Slovenian Post technically, so means all kind of distribution system, sorters and so on. For example, these are just few examples. Astral Sea, this is the drone manufacturer from Slovenia. But major owner of this Astral Sea is Japanese company from Yokohama. So, which is also one of the leading company in Japan on the drones. Drones are definitely one of the product which has a future. This is just few examples what kind of things we are doing together successfully. So, but we have also opposite side examples from the Japanese side. Toyota Adria is selling Toyota cars, yes. But they are doing many other things, We are doing collaboration on the field of robotics, especially robotics for the handicapped people. Kansai Paint is owner of our major paint maker, Helios. This is the biggest Japanese company in Slovenia. They are producing paints. Sumitomo Rubber is producing some special medical plastic. Also, they built new factory in near Ljubljana in Logatec. Makita even exhibiting here at the AGRA fair, also very active Japanese company. This is a very productive investment, interesting also for us. Fanuc is the second largest robot maker in Japan. They are fighting, you know, who is bigger, Yaskawa or Fanuc. But Fanuc has a big company here, Fanuc Adria, which is covering all this territory with, so means robotics is really one of the, is becoming one of the key industry in Slovenia. So, and then a few words about the agriculture before I'm closing my presentation. So, Foodex was mentioned before with the Funo Sun. We did it, Funex, I think 4 times from 1999 to 2003. We exhibited at the Foodex. And I believe there are some people, some companies who participated there, they are still selling wine in Japan. Foodex is a really big fair, yeah? And I am always recommending go there. So, but export of food is very demanding thing. I'm always giving example of Denmark. Now, Denmark is a small country. It's bigger than Slovenia, but small. But they are major exporter to the pork meat to Japan. You know? So it's really, they know how to do it. So means if you want to do food export, you must to Japan. This is a really big job. You know, you must really concentrate, provide quality, price, delivery. Every detail is important. They will send you back if some small minor thing. And fighting with Japan is not easy, believe me, not easy. They are really stubborn, they are really difficult. On the other side, if something is go wrong. When you are friend, fine, but if you are not friend, it's not easy. So, but you must have in mind, Japan is one, I think, one of the biggest food importer in the world. You know, I think they are importing 40% of food they need. They have a deficit. I think except rice, they are producing all for their needs. Everything else they are importing. So means you can sell everything. Means food, but it's up to you. You must be really good. So, but I think we have 3 chances for the agriculture in Japan. Food export, I explained, definitely is a chance, but up to the company, up to the manufacturers. So we can collaborate. This Sunday, we have, in this room, we had a seminar, digitalization in the agriculture, but Japan was also in the focus. In Japan is a country partner of the AGRA. And it was presented number of examples what we are doing on the field of agriculture robotics. And I think we have quite a number of sticking points with Japan here. We can do many things together. We are too small to be generator of the development of the field of robotics, especially for agriculture. But in collaboration with Japanese, we can be really like Yaskawa, like we have. So, and then number 3 are, developing the special products for the agriculture. Okay. Yeah, sorry, you say. We have some good example. Everybody knows Japanese agriculture manufacturers, machinery, Kubota. Kubota invested recently in the one Slovenian company, EFOS. They are buying the 40% of this company to jointly develop pest control system. This EFOS developed really unique system for the pest control, and Japanese Kubota, and such combination is working. If they are going together in the global market, we have we can do. Like I said, LIT Transit before, you know, they cannot do World Championship in Qatar itself. They are too small. But in combination with NEC, it's possible. So this is our chance. So the last page. So conclusion, I am proof that Japan is opportunity for Slovenia. I am personally proof. So means if you have any questions later on, I am be happy to answer. And I just missed one information. I am also Secretary General of Slovenia-Japan Business Association, and we are also helping, you know, companies and everybody to open door to the collaboration with Japan. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Skender. We so successfully concluded the first part of the event, and now we are moving to the topic doing business with India. We have two speakers here, but maybe for the first beginning, I would like to greet Mrs. Namrata Kumar, Ambassador of India to Slovenia. And maybe I would use the opportunity for a few words, if you can present yourself for maybe next 2-3 minutes. Please.
Thank you, and thank you, Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Slovenia also, for including me in this panel to speak a little bit about what you can do with India. Since we already have two experts going to be making presentation on what Slovenia and India can do and what opportunities are there in India for the Slovenian businesses, I will take just a little time, and that's why I don't have a presentation here. I will begin with our two countries' relationship. It is the diplomatic relationships go back to 30 years, but the relationship between India and Slovenia are as old as AGRA affair. So the relationship with India and India's relationship with Slovenia on various platforms, whether it was businesses or art, culture, people-to-people contact, go beyond our 30 years of diplomatic relationship. Before that also a good number of exchanges at the level of economy and businesses were happening. But coming to let's say 30 years and how we have progressed, I would say, of course, 30 years were the real years in which the economic relationships also progressed in the context of when Slovenia also became part of the EU. So India's relationship with Slovenia when it comes to business was also under the umbrella of India's relationship with EU. Many of our processes are governed as per the EU regulations. Also, at the moment, India and EU are prolifically working on negotiations on India-EU free trade agreement and investment promotion agreement, and also the third very important agreement that we are working on is the geographical indicators agreement. All the three agreements are going on well. The negotiations are going on in a good pace, which when they come in place will add added platform for India-Slovenia businesses also to flourish in the best possible ways. The opportunities in the context of how Indian economy is growing, I would like to highlight here today more. The whole world has been facing lots of challenges since 2019, starting with, even before that, 2015, we faced the global financial crisis, then of course COVID came, and then other geopolitical developments are gripping us, and that is also gripping our economy. But what has India managed to do when it comes to its economic growth is concerned, and that is what I want to highlight as a promise for the Slovenian businesses to come and do business in India, is the fact that in spite of the pandemic of 2 years and other geopolitical developments, our economy has gone back to the pre-pandemic growth levels, which is today it is at 8.7% of our growth rate. And as per IMF, it has forecasted about, because of the energy crisis that we are facing all over the world, because of the supply chain issues we are facing all over the world, it has forecasted little slowdown at the global level, which is coming down to 3.6%, but still India will manage to do a 7+ % of its growth. And today, at the moment, our economy is about 3.721 trillion economy at the current rate is concerned. These are broad figures which show that which indicate to us the fact that in spite of the pandemic, what has happened in India is that there is a huge demand that has generated, especially the pharmaceutical and the agricultural area, the manufacturing area. And for this, what is most important is the fact that we have managed to go back to the contact intensive businesses, which were all closed because of the pandemic lockdowns. Because of the robust vaccination drive, we have managed to go back to contact intensive businesses, and that has also led to our economic growth. Here, the small and medium enterprises have really contributed tremendously in our economic growth, contributing about 30% of their, 30% of contribution comes from the small and medium enterprises, which is one platform that we directly see that the Slovenian businesses in this sector and in our small and medium businesses, there is a direct match of collaboration possible. Coming to agriculture, more focused, which is the context of this fair also. Once again, in the past 2 years, our agriculture sector has grown tremendously. We have produced about, the share again is, the agriculture exports have been about to the tune of $50 billion this year in 2022. And this itself again points out to the demand that is generating and the capacity of India to produce, export, and provide food grains, especially the staples, wheat, sugar, rice, etc. Then we come to the edible oils, etc. All these, the capacities are enough, which are indicative from these figures that India can provide. At the same time, for the Slovenian businesses, there is the opportunity which is there in agriculture sector. At the demand side is what I am talking about, the demand factor. Demand-driven factors are our farmers, our young farmers, our SMEs, the technology-driven agriculture that we are focusing on, a lot of focus on digitalization, use of AI, and like my previous speakers also mentioned, robotics in agriculture. We are, of course, looking forward for these technological and research-based collaborations in the area of agriculture from the businesses from Slovenia. From the supply side is the supply drivers from Indian side is the huge market base, huge consumer base. We are 1.3 billion population, but well, that we see as our strength because we are a ready-made market for everybody, and the way how our demand in consumer sector has gone. can also be testified from the fact that most of the consumer MNCs, consumer product MNCs like Apple, Pepsi, Domino's, or you name the chain, they have testified the fact that even during the pandemic and other following geopolitical developments, the Indian market has been quite resilient for them to move out. So these are just few figures. I'm probably taking more time, but thank you very much. Just wanted to highlight these broad indicators and possibilities which provide a lot of opportunities for the Slovenian businesses to work on a bilateral level between India and Slovenia, also under the bigger umbrella of EU-India relationships. Our platforms basically to approach to are our four very important Chamber of Commerce, of course our Commerce Ministry, then the Ministry of Small and Medium Enterprises, which is a dedicated ministry for this sector, and four Chambers of Commerce. Again, we have a dedicated chamber for small and medium enterprises. They all have their offices in our federal structure in all the state governments, and again a very dedicated platform for investing. Those who are interested in investing, it's called Invest India. So these are 5 key platforms that anybody who's interested to approach can go on these platforms and get more and more information about that. Thank you very much. I welcome all to India and look forward for better collaboration.
Thank you very much for your introduction. As I mentioned, we have 2 speakers, and now good afternoon, I must say. It's quite late now in Delhi. I'm greeting Mrs. Mateja Vodeb-Goš, Ambassador of Slovenia to India, Bhutan, Nepal, and Sri Lanka. She has multi-annual experience, not just being India, also Japan, and in many other functions in the Far East, of course. And yeah, she's been so good to share a little bit this information, her experience, the basic information with us. So please, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. I hope we hear each other.
Yes, we hear each other. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for inviting me. Thank you also to Ambassador Kumar to present the Indian side of the story. And I would just like to say that I will talk today a little bit about India and about Indian market, what kind of assistance the embassy can offer, and what also in collaboration with the European Union delegation here in India and European Commission in Brussels. And of course, I'll touch a little bit about the agriculture and what opportunities can this sector offer. Before I start, I would just like to say that after me, we have another even better expert about India, Ms. Natasha Turk from the Chamber of Commerce, and she will go, I believe, in even more details about the topics that I will try to address. So I would like to start, do we have a PowerPoint presentation? Hello?
Yes, just a moment, please. Huh? Yes, we have. I hope you can see it also.
I can't see, but I'll try. I'll start. So I would like to start. I think the most important message that I would like to give you is that India is much more than the rest of Europe, the rest of the world has about India. You know, you very often hear about the water problem. People are afraid that they would get stomach problems because of it. Also some concern about the food, but I can tell you that these are mostly problems of the past, that water, you can drink bottled water, so there is no problem. Also, different kind of foods are available today in India, very diverse cuisine. I would also like to point out that health services in India are very high quality. True, you have to pay for the visit of the doctors, but they are still very affordable, and the quality of the doctor services are truly excellent. Then Ambassador already mentioned digitalization. I can say that from my personal experience, then in many ways, in many fields, India is far ahead of my own country and of the Western developed world. For example, when it comes to payments, if you look at the younger generations here, they don't use the banknotes anymore. They don't use the bank cards anymore. Everything, all the payments they're doing with the phones, with the mobile phones. Also, for example, I see as a big success story the COVID vaccination certificates. You know, I mean, it was very well organized, and you can get the certificate within 15 minutes after you've received your dose. India is also known this day so I believe there are many opportunities for collaboration also in this field, and also the connectivity within India has improved tremendously over the years. I mean, you have very affordable flights all around India, and the government in the past few years is doing a lot of effort also not only to connect the bigger cities, but the second tier, third tier cities in India. So this all helps, contacting your partners much easier. What are the particularities of Indian market? Please note that India is as diverse as Europe, if not even more. It consists of 28 federal states and 8 union territories, and these states have usually they specialize in certain sectors. So it's very important to know what kind of products you are offering to the Indian market and which state would be the best to partner with. India is doing also its own ease of doing business report every year. It's kind of modeled after World Bank, but it gives you quite a nice overview which federal states are economically the most advanced and the most innovative, and for that you also have innovation index which the government issues every year. I would just like to say that among all the states have done enormous progress. If you visit the web pages, the internet pages about these states, you will get excellent information about which sectors they are strong in, what kind of business they are looking for. So it's worth visiting the websites of the governments of these federal states. I would just like to mention that probably among the most business-friendly states are Gujarat, Maharashtra, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, Telangana with Hyderabad. As in Japan, also in India, it's a very steep competition. There are many international companies in Japan, in India. So you need to be prepared to compete with other very qualified companies. And I think my advice would be that the best success would be to enter with kind of a niche products which are different than the others. And as in Japan, you have to offer competitive prices, and the quality expectations, the expectations of the quality of the products in India are also very high. So how to enter Indian market? I would advise everybody to visit India either for pleasure. India offers a lot of amazing historical sites, also natural sites. But you can also visit India for business purposes, visit some fairs and so on, just to get kind of an overview what India is. So it will be easier then for you to do the market research, which is absolutely necessary to do. And it will be also easier for you to find a local partner, which to our evaluation is also an imperative for a success in this huge 1.3 billion market. As Mr. Skender mentioned earlier, you also in India you have to be ready to be engaged for a longer period of time before you will turn profit. When you talk to the companies, they say about 3 to 5 years. And as in Japan, also the personal touch, the personal talks are extremely important. And of course, my advice would also be, there are quite few companies in Slovenia that are already present in Indian market, and they have quite a good reputation and success. Connect with them and try to hear from, try to get first-hand information. What was their experience in entering Indian market? Next slide, please. So, what assistance can the embassy offer? I think a lot has already been said by Alma. So I would just like to point out that embassy can also do a very basic checkup of the companies that you want to do business with. If it's somewhere in the vicinity of Delhi or in Delhi itself, or if it's in the bigger cities where we do travel for business, we can even check the locations and see if the company is functioning. But please do get acquainted, do get some information about your partner before you sign any contract. Also, we can help you with problems, but of course we are not lawyers and we are not experts. So we can help you with small problems, but if it comes to some kind of a legal issue, then we will be able to give you the contact of good lawyers that you can use for resolution. We can also help you with the promotional events. If you want to come to India and do the promotion of your products, we are willing to help you and assist you in that. We, for the Indian side, we help Indian companies, assist Indian companies that want to invest in Slovenia. So in general, I would say our embassy takes care of the Slovenian export to India and about Indian investment to Slovenia. Next slide, please. So Before I go to what kind of tools are offered by European Union or European Commission, I would just like to touch a little bit about agriculture field. Like Ambassador said, agriculture is extremely important sector in India. It gives also the highest percentage of employment to people. But I think, from my perspective, what India would require or would ask for, basically technologies. And I see like 3 different fields in agriculture. That is food processing, cold storage, so storage of the food, and about logistics. You know, how to take the crops from one place to another. I think this kind of knowledge and technology India would welcome. We have also a very active European Union delegation here in New Delhi. They have many experts, so whenever I receive an inquiry from a Slovenian company that I don't know the answer to, I turn to their help, and they are always very welcoming. Apart from the free trade agreement, investment agreement, and geographical indicators agreement that Ambassador talked about, there are also efforts of establishing European business representation in India. It would be kind of a, you know, like a chamber of commerce, connecting all the companies from European Union that are present in the Indian market, and it would be advocator, you know, for making, for ease of business, I would say, for being a voice of European business in the institutions of government of India. As already my colleague from the embassy in Japan said, a very important tool is also access to markets. If you can turn the next page. As you can see, it offers very concrete information, not only about goods, but also about services. And it also offers workshops, you know, for companies, especially for small and medium-sized enterprises. Workshops which would familiarize you with Indian requirements, Indian conditions, and it would make your entrance into Indian market much. Another service which European Union offers is assistance in fairs. They usually try to rent a European Union pavilion, and then within this pavilion, different European Union member states can participate. Next slide. This is just a little bit more information about what all you can find on this very useful web page. So before I end, I would just like to echo what Ambassador Kumar said about Invest India. Our experience with Invest India is extremely positive. This is a very young team of very knowledgeable experts about Indian economy and about possibilities, investment possibilities in Indian market. And you know, you can contact them directly or through us. but I can guarantee you that you will get a very high quality level of services. So for the end, you can just, whatever question or whatever problem it may occur, you can reach us at slowembassy.newdelhi@government.si or the telephone number, and we will reply to your inquiries. So thank you so much for listening to me, and I am very eager to hear what Natasha will tell you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for your interesting presentation. Thank you very much for staying with us a little bit longer today. And yes, as you mentioned, before the event, I was told if you want to know anything about how to do the business with India, I was told, so sorry, please just contact Mrs. Natasha Turk. She is actually the Deputy Director, Center for International Business at the Chamber of Commerce of Industry, also who is a partner of the Enterprise Europe Network. I think has full approach to the European Commission's services that are dealing also with India. So please, you know everything, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much indeed for inviting me and for presenting me as like a knowledgeable person on Indian market. Yeah, that's quite a number of years of experience dealing with Slovenian companies which are interested in doing business with India, and also had the privilege to travel quite a number of times there to experience the business culture. But first of all, a very good morning to all of the participants here in the hall. Good afternoon to our ambassador Vodeb Ghosh in Delhi, and of course namaste to the ambassador Kumar and dear colleagues from Indian delegation here in the hall. So, as a lot of words have been already told about this complex market, allow me just to touch the most important issues which might be facing when doing business with India. First of all, talking about, of course, the largest democracy on the world, we cannot forget that their middle class is the size of 330 million people, which is the size of US population. And on the other hand, we can also emphasize the figure of people which are living in urban areas in India, which is like 500 million people, which is the size of the whole European population. So we know now what we are talking about, the huge market, and this another demographic dividend, which is normally emphasized, which particularly means that more than half of population is below 30 years old. We know that the future stands on young people, young countries, and we cannot face the future of this country comparing to the other very important countries in the region, which are getting older and older nowadays. But the future is on India, I believe strongly on this. What else? I just cross my notes. Yeah, of course. When we are talking about India as a market, we have to know that it is a market so diversified, at least as the markets in European Union. We are talking also about pretty much the same numbers of states as we have in European Union. We have different climate conditions in India as we do have in European Union, and of course the business culture. We cannot compare the Greek business culture with, I don't know, somebody in Scandinavia. The truth is the same with India. It's a very different business culture. We are doing business with the northern parts comparing to the southern parts or the west. We as a chamber have also experienced this diversity throughout the years, and it is, I must be honest, quite challenging every time we do some common business events or just simple negotiations. What else? When we are talking about Indian businessmen, we have to know that they are the best traders globally. So we have to be prepared that negotiations are very complex, very tough, and normally Slovenians are not so well trained to gain the results we want to have or we plan to have from the early beginning. So be prepared, be persistent, take Indian market as a long-term opportunity, and also prepare the strategy strictly on long-term basis. Yeah, like the colleagues for the Japanese market said, and also my predecessors, the relationship is the most important thing when you do business with India. If you find the right partner from the early beginning, you can be sure that the business will go quite well, although it takes, like our ambassador said, minimum 3 years to gain the first results. So relationship is everything. Please keep in mind this fact. When you are appointing a representative in India, for example, or an agent or so, he or she will open relevant doors to relevant contacts to Indian partners, either on business field or government field. So please put all of your resources and personal knowledge and even personal visits to this market to build the real relationship with the right person. Of course, you will certainly ask me, but how to start the right relationship? Where to find the right people? You know, there are several occasions, either business conferences or business fairs, or of course we will also always invite you to join the forces, come to the chamber, and put the initiative. Will bring like a business delegation from Slovenia to certain parts of India, because stronger we are stronger together, and we will bring you to relevant contacts there. And of course, be persistent again and again. Like it was mentioned, it's worth to go to India half privately, half business oriented, at least to feel the business vibe and feel the atmosphere, and to know how to get the best results out of it. What else? Yeah, like in all huge markets, it's worth to try to start your business outside the established metros, because you will be more welcomed, your results will be gained faster, and you'll get better attention there comparing to the big metros in India. When we are talking about metros, we're always, we have to keep in mind that there are like 15 million people living there, and there is a strong competition. And when we are talking about competition, I used to remember all of my discussions with my dear friends in India when they keep telling me, we have the competition from the early days when the child is born to get to school, to get the best education, then we go to study, to do some studies abroad, always to the best universities. Of course, we're talking about the upper class, or at least upper middle class people. Competition really starts from the 0 point. So this is also a huge difference comparing to, let's say, our country. We have to keep in mind that, Indian people or businessmen are really used to this competition, and they're always ready to squeeze you with some business plans. So please keep in mind this matter. Okay, let me see if there are some other things. Maybe go to the next slide, please. Okay, here are some just points about these services, about our chamber we are offering. I've already mentioned that we are quite often organizing sector-oriented business delegations to India, to different parts. Let's say before coronavirus, we went 2 times with the Slovenian transport logistics sector to do the promotion in Mumbai and Chennai as the most promising metros for this transport logistics sector. We also had the privilege to attend some of the metallurgical exhibitions in India a few years back. In the meantime, of course, we've received quite a number of Indian delegations here in Slovenia, prepared different business forums, etc. Later on, I'll just show you some pictures just to feel the vibe from those events. In the past, we've also formed some kind of informal business community, so-called Business Council Slovenia-India, which was represented by Slovenian companies which had a strong interest on Indian market and good references there. We are now trying together with the Embassy of India here in Ljubljana to revive this group in some other informal business council. We are happy and eager to do the next steps and to match with the partners in India to make this business council alive, and also opportunity for you to do business here. Yeah, what else? Yeah, my dear friends normally also say, go to India. You will check whether you like it or you hate it. But I'm sure you'll like it if you get there with your open eyes, with no expectations for the first time visit, and feel the breeze of business climate there. May I ask you to jump to the next slide, please, and to the pictures? Yeah, I just wanted to show you the importance of the highest ranking government officials from Slovenia and India. This is the example of signing the Memorandum of Understanding and later the contract on establishing joint venture project of our biggest company in electrical business with Indian partner. This happened in AGRA back in 2013 in the presence of both economic ministers and also ambassador of Slovenia. Like you were invited from our ambassador Vodeb Ghosh before, when you have such an important business event like signing the agreement of cooperation, it's worth to engage also some highest representatives, either from embassy or some government institutions, to be present during the contract. This means a lot in Indian business culture. It raises the importance of your company and your operations in the futures. Maybe we jump to the next slide, please. Yeah, this is just one example of our business meeting with one of our partners in India. Like it was mentioned, there are 4 major chambers there. Here we've emphasized the Confederation of Indian Industries, which is our MOU partner and is serving us with business contacts or business information requested for Slovenian companies. Maybe go to the next slide, please. Well, of course, we also had the privilege to organize a business forum on the occasion of the visit of Indian president to Slovenia, which happened almost 3 years back. And also B2B meetings were arranged from the side of the Slovenian Chamber of Commerce between Slovenian companies and Indian delegates who attended this very important visit to Slovenia. I think we have just one more slide. Yeah, and this is some picture from the president visit in our capital city, Ljubljana. He was also greeted by the youngest people here in Slovenia. So, thank you very much indeed for your attention. If you have any questions, of course, I'll be happy to answer it now or maybe better later, as we are very behind the schedule. And Vladimir, please continue. Thank you.
Thank you. So you're very kindly invited afterwards. Therefore, we have B2B event, B2B meetings, and of course, I think the chamber is open all the time, also in this year. So we managed the second part, and we're coming to the third part. So we are now quite near to the Europe. Just across the sea is the African continent, and we have two speakers now coming and to inform us a little bit more about the opportunities. It is Mr. Mamadou Mustafa Sarr, Honorary Consul of the Republic of Slovenia in Senegal, who will provide us the first information about doing business with Senegal, which is a much bigger country like Slovenia, for example. Please, Mr. Sarr, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Hello. Excellency, Mr. Yukiko, Mrs. Alma Židanek. Thank you very much. Today I come here to take this presentation in the English language, but I prepared them in the French language, but I try to take this one today in the English language. I'm sorry for this presentation. But the Senegalese is the country and West African. But I give you 8 regions to invest in Senegal. The first is Senegal is a country, an open country, please, and ahead and the competitivity, economic, 3 quality human resources, 4 modern and structuring infrastructure, all legal and fiscal initiative framework, privileging access to regional and international markets, and 7, an exceptional quality of life, 8, a very attractive business climate. But the first is stable and open country. The Senegal is located in the West African continent. The Senegalese location in the west and West Atlantic Ocean. The position is a hub linking African to the rest of the world. But if you see our continent is the very big continent. We have our region in West Africa. We have 3,000 million people for this market. The area of Senegal is, the capital is Dakar. The population we have 15 or 17 million people. The two is a hedging and a competitivity economy. You see, the Senegal, it's the first biggest the economic in West African Francophone. You see, this Senegalese is the political exceptional in Africa. It's surely confirmed by a good number in international organizations and multinational that have made Dakar. The capital is the base of their regional operation, exemplary at the level, and the state has been stable and dogma and promotion of the good governance is a major focus of state policy. But if this second point, if you see the Senegal, it is the first country in West Africa to be to write B, please, and B by standard of power. Our country, it's the small country in the area, but in our political, economic, or diplomatic politic, Senegal it's the very important country in West African Francophone. But the quality human resources. The Senegal, we have an cycle student, the elementary, and after elementary you have second. The second after you have the high school in the university. But after this, if you see this picture, in Senegal we have 29,000 apartments in 2012. It's and to pass to 55,000 for 2060. And the approach is the competence of APC, the traditional and modernization for our country to this education. This declaration is Mr. Pedro Gonzalez, in the Director General of Funo in Spain. He speaks here as a Hispanic group. We are satisfied with our investment in Senegal. Senegal is a very fast learning, and our management staff in mostly Senegalese. This declaration take this Mr. Pedro Gonzalez of Funo in Spain. But the Senegal take some collaboration with this country to go, and some people Senegalese go to Spain to work here, and this reference, but the Mr. Gonzalez. Okay, for the modernization and structure in the infrastructure. But the Senegal is the country to go to emergency for the world in our region. But we actually to construct many infrastructure in our country. Now we start to use our train for big our train for the new train, very new technology to start to take the people or outside the town in city, the capital Dakar or Diamniadio. We have also the new airport, just the airport international Blaise Diagne in Just, and we have accommodated in the international telecommunication in E2U in the Senegalese. We have a new center of data connection in Diamniadio. Our new city, not far in Dakar, to 35 kilometers in Dakar. A legal and fiscal initiative format. The Senegal is take the new program for the new companies like to come in our country to take some projects. But our government to take some help for the new company to make all our papers for our new company on one day only to take a new company in Senegal. But we have some facilities to import, and yeah, you see this one, the 40% for investment admissible to reductible for 5 years without your first installation in our. Okay, the Senegal is a member of the West African Economic and Monetary Union. You see a regional organization for 8 countries and 112 million for our region. An exceptional quality of life. Okay, you look at this, the World Economic Forum in Dakar has run it in Senegal. It's 6 months to welcome in country in the world according to tourists and everything in Senegal. We have our country and 7%, yeah, of our country for the sea in the Atlantic Sea. A very attractive business climate. But you know, in the Senegal, it is the nice country and the democratic Pacifical country in the West African Francophone. But we have many delegation, many infrastructure, many international organization make this the offices or the organization in our capital, in Dakar. The United Nations and the United Nations, we make a new offices, new offices in our country in Diamniadio. This is our contact. For if you have more information, you need more information, you send me some message. But this document is in English document. I will send you everyone if you like. But I take the email for Mr. Vladimir, and I send you this document for your email. If you have need some another information, if you like to write me some mail. Okay, thank you very much, and I talk to you in this African representation, but I am very happy to is here today, and thank you very much for your amiable attention. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yeah, so we came to our last speaker, who is actually full of information about the African continent, about the market, Mr. Robert Rakat, who is actually the managing director of the Primorska Chamber of Commerce. And yeah, We had already interesting talk about huge opportunities with a huge market which is very near to Slovenia and to the Europe. Please.
Thank you so much, Your Excellency, my friend Mamadou. If there is anybody online from Japan, from India, thank you for inviting me. Thank you for your patience to stay here and listen what I have to say. First of all, the travel, Natasha, hi. First of all, the travel to Gornja Radgona today was like doing business or with India or with Africa. Very interesting and moving, because we stayed in the queue for almost 2 hours because the highway was closed due to an accident. But nevertheless, we are here and we're starting to do business. That's how an entrepreneur should work in an environment he or she does not know well. And what is interesting about the 3 markets that we have been talking about today, we know quite a lot about Japan and India, and there are already infrastructures built, diplomatic, economic, but with Africa, we are about to discover it, at least from Slovenian point of view, from Slovenian business point of view. First of all, we have only one diplomatic representative on whole African continent, and that's something that is about to change, because I will not tell you where, but it's a disclosure. We are about to open a second diplomatic office on African continent, and I'm very happy about that. And I will push on Foreign Minister and our Minister Tanya Fayon personally to open at least 5 diplomatic offices on African soil. There are 5 regions in Africa, and at least in one of each we should be presented. It's a huge continent. We need to know that this continent has 1.4 billion people, inhabitants, as India, a little bit more. But what we know about Africa today? Very little. I don't know if any of 1% of Slovenian entrepreneurs know how is doing business with Rwanda, how is to do business with Namibia, with Senegal. We don't know, but we know a lot how to do business with Japan and with India. So our path is quite clear. We need to start working on information first. We don't need to be afraid of knowing. I will just move a little bit back so I will be able to see what's going on. The figures there are in a certain way amazing. I mean, we are doing with whole Africa as much business in 1 year as we're doing with Italy in 1 week. And Italy has 60 million inhabitants, Africa 1.4 billion. So where we are, not at the beginning, we are starting to get to the beginning. Because the roads in front of us, yeah, it might be winding, but very interesting. You know, every winding road brings you to beautiful points where you see the nice view. Highway takes you quick, but the view is poor. So I believe that the road we are about to take is quite interesting. What we do export at the moment, what makes those $250 million per year are mostly machinery and medical equipment. We move forward. These are the 5 regions I was talking about in Africa. And we have in Egypt our embassy. The next one is about to open. But there are three regions still to be covered by our diplomatic offices. Why I'm talking so much about diplomacy? Because at the moment, the problem we have with Africa is we don't have bilateral MOUs. We don't have diplomatic relationships. And that makes business look away from that continent. Because if you don't know a lot, if you don't have information, if you don't feel like you will be protected in case of, if you feel like the safety is a little bit in brackets, if there is not knowledge about the market, then you tend to be very, very careful, and you go to the market which may not be as profitable as the one you look in Africa, but safer. Capital is a very, very strange bird. At the first, it moves. So that's why Africa is probably at the beginning of our path. These are some figures that might be interesting. The average salary in Africa, which we need to be very, very frank, it's in reality is a little lower because there, South Africa, that makes it very, really high. It pushes it up. Let's say the number of cars, quite interesting. Whole Africa, 32 million cars. Yeah? So let's turn it off. It's only 44 cars per 1,000 adults. How many cars do you have in India? Millions, right? The same in Europe. We have 3 cars per family, at least. So the length of roads, Slovenia has 31,000 kilometers of roads. Whole African highway network, 56,000, not even twice as much as Slovenia, and we know how big Slovenia is. So the case why I brought these numbers, because it shows that the way of increasing the growth is absolutely large. There are a lot of things to be done in Africa. I always say Africa is a continent with at least 2 speeds. One is the big cities, and there we really talk about mobility, we talk about digitalization, we talk about all modern technologies there. And we have rural Africa, where most of it is without electricity, is without roads, is without water, is without internet. Can you imagine? Without internet. So that's why we need to work on 2 different levels. Yes, there are, let's say, 20, 25 big cities with 2 and more million inhabitants, where they live as we live here in Europe or in India, New Delhi, Mumbai, as in big cities around the world. They have a lot. I will not say everything. But there are, let's say, 90% of African soil that needs everything. There is a lack of construction, there is a lack of knowledge, there is a lack of almost everything. So we need to work on 2 different levels when we talk about Africa. Move forward, as I told, 1.35 billion people. We are always saying Africa is the continent of future economic development. Nativity rate, of course, is quite high, but the young population, the figures of young population, I think they are really impressive. Look, 1 billion Africans are younger than 24 years. 1 billion. We have one here. Yeah. So that's why the age means that they can learn, they can improve, they can grow really, really fast. As Mamadou has already said, Spanish entrepreneurs said that they are really quick learner. And it's not only for Senegal, we can use that for any African country, and youngsters are really eager to learn, are really eager to talk different languages, are really eager to achieve new skills and new knowledge. Let's go forward. Where are the potentials for Slovenia in Africa? Country of 2 million has potential in Africa, of course. Of course we have. Of course can hardly compete. There are many Indian entrepreneurs working in Africa, many, especially on East African region, absolutely a lot, and the business is good. And you have even, I think, African-Indian Chamber of Commerce, and it's really working well. I know some people there, and I know how they work and how they think. Africa has a lot of potentials in minerals. Is anybody who wants to open a mine there? I have somebody who can help you with that. There is a lot of opportunities. Look at the number, 874 million hectares of fertile land. And it's what's growing there? It's not growing anything. It's still to be it's only suitable, so it needs to be improved, and there are investments needed there. And what can we get out of there? A lot of food. And we know how food is getting important in today and in future. For last decade, I held on my Chamber of Commerce in Koper many events on food production, and how important it will be. And about 7 years ago, I had few members of European Parliament at the panel, and what they said food in next 15 to 20 years will become more important than fuel, than oil. Why? Because if you don't eat, you cannot produce oil. You need to eat first. Then you can produce oil, gas, and anything else. And look at the education. A third, approximately, of Africans have bachelor degrees or higher. That's quite lower than in Europe, probably lower than in India, because you study a lot. I know the competition we heard before, in Japan especially. It means that knowledge is maybe a niche Slovenian people should think of. How to sell know-how, knowledge. We have quite good school system, and we need to admit that. And that good school system could be one of the niches of Slovenian business in Africa. There are a lot, and I mean a lot, of funds, financial funds in African countries dedicated to education. A lot for new schools, a lot for new programs, a lot of efforts and money by African governments is put in educational program and educational system. Let's go forward. EU, where we are in EU. As we know, the European budget, most of the money stays in Europe, but about 10%, and it's not a little amount of money. We're talking about several 10 of billion of euros here, is to be spent outside EU. And Africa is one of the continents EU has some programs with. So we can use that money. But there are direct financial lines in African countries, almost in any African country. World Bank, IMF, UN, FIO, they all have dedicated credit lines, money lines, to be spent strictly on programs they are made for. So we could just connect to those programs, to those pipes of cash, and start using it. Because we have the knowledge. Because in Slovenia we have the knowledge. There are many other financial schemes where Slovenia can participate and being financed to sell what we already have. We don't need, at the moment, invent a lot to be sold on African continent. We can sell what we already have. Let's go forward. What can this is what we should do, and gremo še nadalj. Here, and then we go back. Where I see the potential of Slovenia on African continent, we have high educated experts in construction, electric engineering, water resources, education. Our population is getting older. 65 plus is more than 600,000 people. And there are many young retired people who are still willing to work with experience they have, 40 years of work in education, in engineering, in water resources, in constructions. I believe we have something to offer on African continent, that's for sure. And there are so many roads, so many water lines, so many water pipes, so many sewage lines to be built, so many electrical plants to be built. We have, let's say, on water resources, there are rivers, they are just running, not making any electricity in Africa. We have company very famous in Slovenia, Litostroy, that they built turbines for hydropower plants, and we can work on that. What is our benefit? We have experts in other, for big cities, automatization of production, IT, but also in agriculture, in tourism. Tourism, don't forget Africa and tourism. Some of the most beautiful places in the world are in Africa. And tourism is still to be developed. It's very at the beginning. We have experts in Slovenia on green tourism, on wildlife tourism, on any tourism you want. So why don't use them? Why don't use the knowledge we already achieved? We have the very, very valuable startup environment in Slovenia. It's quite valued in other European countries. And we can work with startups or build. There are quite good startup environments in Africa. I know the one in Kenya, which is absolutely fantastic. And we can work on that. We can spread the startup environment in other African countries. We as Slovenians are very flexible, and we can adapt to new work conditions, to new markets. Why? Because we are little, and if we don't adapt, we will fail. So that's why we are good at that. If you show me the sun, I bring the short sleeves. If you bring me the rain, I will bring the long sleeves. So we can speak English. There are quite Slovenians that speak French as well. So we are very good in language, no language barrier, and very important, no historical issues with Africa at all. Some European countries have. It might be more questionable. No, it's in people's memory, is there. And we can play on that, of course. And of course, they are small. We don't need to invest 500 million at the beginning. You can start with 50,000, 100,000 euros, and it's already something. On African continent, maybe this money is valued twice or 3 times as much as in Europe. If we go back, our issues, I said, only one diplomatic mission. We have lack of EU and Slovenian bilateral Africa international treaties. We need to establish internationally recognized bank wire payment system. Now, at the moment, it's very hard to get paid from Africa and to pay to Africa, to India as well. There are some time needed before the payment comes to Indian company and vice versa. We need to work on that. We need to improve that. We need to recognize that some African bank is okay for EU standard and the payment can go through. That will help business a lot. There are issues or not knowledge about safety, language, investment, security issues. We need to work on that. And of course, we need to work on Slovenian investment and economic strategy for Africa, which we don't have at the moment. It can be on 5 regions or on single country. We can even pick at the moment 10 countries on African continent. We will work on that for next 5 to 7 years. We will work with those 7 markets. Slovenia has a certain amount of capacity of production and services. We cannot serve the whole African country. We are too little. We have no resources to do that. So let us pick 5 to 7 countries or 10 countries which represent 300, 400 million inhabitants, and we can work on that. Gremo dve dol. Okay. Plan for this year, Mamadou. Shall we do the mission to Senegal? I'm very eager to do that. So the questions I'm asking you and asking myself, do we really know what the African needs are? Do we really know? Do African knows what their needs are? Or they buy what we bring to the market and say, well, you need that. So communication, absolutely important with any African. Communication on the same level, absolutely important. Are African markets attractive? Absolutely. As Mamadou said, just for Senegal, there are all over the African continent, there are incentives for anything you do with Africans. What are experiences of Slovenian companies on Africa sold so far? They are patience. Africans don't want to do it in 3 hours. They need time. They need to think and rethink and think it over. So be patient. And when it's quite similar with the Chinese, when you think you already finished the negotiations, they start all over again. And with African can be the same again. But it's a cultural thing, and we can adopt to that. What African entrepreneurs expect from Slovenian companies and investors? 1, being fair. 2, think long time, long lasting. No, I invest 1 million and I want 3 million in 2 years. It will not work. It's long time. It needs to be long time and thinking of expanding, because expanding is something African wants. In African eyes, the big is good, which sometimes is not good, but it looks like there. It's bigger, like in Texas. In Texas, in America, they say the bigger, the better, but sometimes is not right. And what are the most important steps in Africa to start with? Try to see with real eyes. Don't have this kind of eyes. Is a lot of land and I want it all. No. You cannot have it all. You need to start with small steps. We need to know who we are dealing with. And at the moment, that's an issue for Slovenians, because we don't have people to ask, who are that company? Are they good? Are they bad? How do they work? So this is something we are working on, and we need to establish kind of list of friends of Slovenia. We need to get to really expand our network of honorary consulates. Why? Because they are local people. They know how to deal with local peculiarities. They know how to deal with local traditions. They will tell you, don't use that color, use that color, because that color means something. And that's really important when you do business. Forward. And here is, let's say, in my mind, don't use it a plan for Slovenia, it's my plan for this and next year, but I think it can be done. We would like really to get Africa closer. I'm about to finish, this is the last slide. We need to really want to bring African closer to Slovenian eyes, Slovenian perspective. Because at the moment, Africa is, let's say, about 150 kilometers from European border, but in our minds is so far away, like on other planet, other universe. We even don't think about it at the moment. So let's bring information of African culture, African business, African expectation, and opportunities to Slovenian business environment. That's, I think, it's something really important to start with. As I said, with Ministry of Foreign Affairs, we are preparing a list of friends of Slovenia. Who can we use in certain African country? Let's not forget, Slovenia is former part of Yugoslavia, and I'm not talking about so far away. Yugoslavia was one of the biggest countries, or most important countries in non-aligned movement. Still remember that in Africa, that movement is still there in people's mind. And when you mention Yugoslavia, it's important. They know exactly what we talk about. But we can start with Slovenia was part of Yugoslavia, and that's important there. It's open doors. It's a jolly we can use when it's needed. And India as well was one of the so important countries in that movement with Sonia Gandhi. We are really pushing the Ministry of Foreign Affairs to prepare to send to African countries those bilaterals, MOUs or letter of understanding or whatever, something we can start with to open the gate for business. Otherwise, business will hardly move there. And it's something we really want to. We need to diversify our export. 85% of Slovenian export is in 4 countries. 4. There are 212 countries in the world. So many countries to export to. And let's define 5 countries, as I said, 5, 7, 10 countries, and start with that. It's a huge market. Let's start with 3% of those markets, 5% of those markets. And we will get there 3 to 7 years, and we can get there. And as I finish, don't be afraid of Africa. Culture might be different, but needs of African people are the same that we have. The same. Clothes, good food, good drink, yeah? And nice life. Nice life in Slovenia is something, maybe in Dakar is something else, but still it's nice life. Okay? And the last, thank you. I hope that that I was not too long. I tried to explain you how to approach African continent, and I know there is a lot of work and a lot of road to be driven. But let's start with starting the engine, and then the car will just go. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you to all of the speakers today. I think it has been a lot of information. And if I might just a little bit resume what it was said today. Nothing will happen now immediately. We don't expect that all the business will be done during the AGRA event and within next days. We can also say that the task, what we see as a task as the partners in the Enterprise Europe Network, it means colleagues from Ljubljana, from Koper and from Maribor, it is some kind of initiative, something we would like to initiate for the year 2023. It means this event should be some kind of the starting of planning the set of activities we would like to implement in 2023, and we would of course like to use this opportunity in this year to discuss it with all of you, to discuss with your presenters the ideas, and to see what can be effectively done, and where as a network we can also use the opportunities and the support the European Commission is giving to us. So thank you once again for being for us and listening to very interesting presentations today. Thank you very much.